Hi and welcome to this talk on natural hygiene. If you're not aware what natural hygiene is, this is basically giving the body space, removing toxins, getting our health in the right order, creating the right living environment for our organism so that our body will heal itself and will clean itself. Yeah, natural hygiene, as in the natural way that the body would heal itself when we're in nature. Unfortunately, with our Western diet, we're continually bombarding our bodies with toxins, and these toxins cause problems in the body that the body has to then deal with, and this causes disease, and I'll go into that more shortly. So just quickly, I just want to tell you about a few lies that we've been told. So we've been told that cancer isn't curable at the moment because they're still looking for a cure. Well, cancer is curable. And cancer is not what you think it is. Cancer is the body's natural ability to protect itself from toxicity. So for instance, in the body, when there's too many toxins in one area, the body will create cells around the toxins. It will harden tissue and it will surround those toxins, and that's what we call tumors. So if you think about other types of cancer, let's have a look. So let's look at cysts. So cysts, for instance, in certain areas of the body are deemed to be cancer. Now, I have a cyst here that comes and goes all the time. So the body creates detox points where it can get rid of things. Now, cysts it's a collection of toxins that it's surrounding. It's just left it there. Now, every now and again, I have to squeeze this, and it comes up about once a year, maybe twice a year. And it's a detox point for me. It's nothing harmful. If I leave it alone and I stop plying myself full of toxins, then it will disappear. Other types of cancer, or other types of the body surrounding toxins, is fibroids. Again, lung cancer is it's basically induration rather in the lungs. So it's hardened areas in the lungs because of continual bombardment by toxins. So cancer is not what we think it is. The food pyramid, there's another lie that they've been telling us. So the food pyramid was created by the industries that they needed our support to buy their products, to keep paying those people, those fat cats running those businesses, who were shaking hands with the different governments around the world, saying, yes, let's have this food pyramid. Let's convince everybody that they need grains. Let's convince everybody that they need to eat dairy and eggs. Let's convince everybody that you can't get protein from any other source reliably other than meat and fish. Now, these industries obviously prospered because we believed what they were telling us. And the RDAs, the recommended daily allowances, I think America call it something else, but they're set really high. They're very high to take into account that cooked food destroys nutrients. So don't believe those RDAs. and only use them if you are you're 100% cooked food eater. So some other lies. So we know about Big Pharma and what they're up to, but the herbal industry is also a fat cat, basically, getting fatter all the time. All these new fandangled herbs, and what was the last ones? There's colloidal silver, and all these things off mountains and stuff. They just keep popping up, all these new things, and then everybody thinks, oh, I'll try that, and they say, well, I got some results from that. Yeah, well, like maybe 3 in 10 people did, but a lot of people just don't. Herbs, because of the action of the body, actually cause the body to react. Now, this is the important thing to learn about the body, is that nothing can act on the body. The body can only act on what comes into it. So, for instance, you don't get a herb that goes into the body and seeks out illness and says, oh, here it is, let's fix that. It doesn't work like that. Whatever goes into the body knows whether it's a food or not. That is its primary objective, is to basically break down food into something that we can use for all the nutrients, the amino acids it needs for the proteins, the glucose for powering our cells. It has to break it all down. When it gets a herb in the body, it reacts. So, for instance, there's if you think about, so some people take ginger, or is it ginger or garlic, one of the two, for high blood pressure. They take it and their blood pressure goes down and they feel better. This is because the body is trying to expel a poison. So it speeds up the heartbeat, it speeds up the blood. And yeah, suddenly the blood pressure returns to normal. There's another example of T.C. Fry in one of his talks. He talks about herbs and their poisons, and somebody in the audience asks, well, how is it when I put a comfrey poultice on an open wound, on an ulcer on somebody's leg that's appeared, how come that it heals? How come it disappears? And it seems to have worked. So his answer is fairly simple, and it is basically that an ulcer is a detox point in the body. So when the body is overly toxic, it will create detox points. As I said, I have this, this cyst in here that I sometimes squeeze. I also have a detox point in my lungs, because I'm detoxing at the moment, and I have been for a while. But this detox point in my lungs, it's an old detox point because I had it when I was a kid, and I had pleurisy. Pleurisy, by the way, is a detox symptom. And so when I'm over toxic, I get a pain in the lung here, or when I'm detoxing, not just when I'm over toxic, but if I'm part way through a fast and my body's like, okay, we've got loads of stuff to get rid of, and then I'll cough loads of stuff up. It comes out of this point. So the ulcer on the leg is a detox point. That's saying the body has chosen that detox point for whatever reason. It could be that the majority of the toxins were in that area, or it just got at that point, it got overloaded with toxins, and most of them were in that area, and it said, right, I'm creating this point here, I'm going to get rid of them. When you put a poultice on an open wound, which is what it is, it will absorb anything you put on it, because our skin absorbs stuff. So when you put comfrey, which is full of poison, onto that wound, the body says, no, this is poison coming into the body. I need to close off that wound as soon as possible. So it closes the wound, and lo and behold, somebody thinks they've healed you, but that's not the way it works, as you'll see more in the when I go further on within this. So herbs, they suppress detox symptoms, or they cause elevation of speed of the blood around the body, and there's all sorts of other things that herbs do in the body, but they will not heal you, and they will not heal you as quickly as the body can heal itself if we get out of the way. Okay, so that's just some of the lies we've been told. There are others, I'll go into them later. But I'm going to talk about the 1800s, where there are some pioneers in health, and they're the ones who created natural hygiene. Now, some famous natural hygienists, one that you'll probably know is Florence Nightingale. Now, she was the head of her game, and she was treating soldiers, very sick soldiers, and they had pneumonia and all sorts of conditions, serious injuries, and her protocol was to stop all food. Don't allow them to eat. Give them water only. And this worked. This is why she, she's so revered, is because she was amazing at healing, these soldiers, and, going on through her career. Now, doctors are taught to drug patients. That's what we're faced with today. It's a paradox, because drugging actually harms the body itself. So we had, on one hand, we had all these scientists and doctors who were learning all about how the body creates bacteria in an acidic body. So it will create bacteria. The bacteria will actually help break down cells and remove dead waste. But another side effect of that is that bacteria has to defecate, so it has to poop, and that creates more toxins in your body. So whenever you have toxified yourself, then yeah, there's a lot of work that the body needs to do. So we had these pioneers who were then healing people. Around about the same time, though, we had Louis Pasteur. Now, Louis Pasteur basically did some experiments, and one of the famous ones he did is he took some anthrax and he injected it into cattle, and the cattle got anthrax, and he said, well, clearly it's germs from outside come into the body, and hence germ theory was born. He observed cells in the body that looked like they were diseased, and he found lots of bacteria in there. This is one of his other experiments, and he was like, yeah, there's all the bacteria, it's all there. Clearly it must have been the bacteria that's caused this problem. But no, toxemia and toxicosis basically gives the environment for bacteria to thrive, and our body also doesn't fight the bacteria. It uses autophagy to break down our cells. It just lets the bacteria get on with it, because the bacteria is actually doing some stuff. We actually have symbiotic relationship with bacteria. So in our cells, we have what are known as mitochondria. Now, these are where our our ATP. So this is our nerve energy, our yeah, basically our electrical energy for our body is created within there. Now ATP is long for something, and I'm still trying to remember what that is, but I'll get back to that. But these things within the cell, mitochondria, are actually bacteria that entered those cells probably many millions of years ago, and created a symbiotic relationship. They went in there and the cell went, oh, hello, you shouldn't be in here. How did you get through that cell wall? But you're in. And they went, oh, it's quite cozy in here. And then some glucose came in and they created ATP, and the cell went, oh, we'll use that. Thanks. And that's how it stuck. So, you know, we've got bacteria, or what was bacteria once, which is now part of our cells, helping us within our body. And there's a statistic somewhere that gives the weight of the bacteria in our body, and it's something like 65%. It's like huge. We've got loads, we're just teeming full of bacteria. Now, if contagion and well, if bacteria are our enemy, then why aren't we dead? Surely, you know, we should be dead. And if one little bit of bacteria can come in and cause us to have, you know, disease, then, you know, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, the medical system took a wrong turn. It went that way, but these guys still carried on. Natural hygiene carried on. Now, germ theory took hold because they started creating potions, medicines, and they started with arsenic, mercury, strychnine. And then when they found that when they put these in the body went, ah, help. Everything went crazy, but then all the other symptoms seemed to disappear, because the symptoms of disease are detox symptoms. Now, here's something I haven't mentioned, is how we've also been lied to, that every single disease is created by inflammation in the body, and it goes from there. I'll cover the 7 stages of diseases later. But yeah, so okay, where was I? I'll do this. Yeah, I was going to mention actually that so there've been several strikes around the world by physicians, and in every single case the rate of mortality plummets by 50 or 60%. Now, this has happened in, I'm going to write it down here somewhere. Here we go. So there were 2 in Israel, 1 in Holland, 1 in Belgium, 1 in Canada, and several in the USA. And yeah, the stats don't lie. Drugs kill people. They don't help us. You know, if we get out of the way and we let the body do what it's got to do, then we will heal. So Isaac Jennings, so he was around about that, you know, he was around about that same sort of time, maybe a bit later than some of these other guys, but he basically noticed that some of his older physicians were having really good results, and he went to see what they were doing, and they were doing the same as Florence Nightingale. So he started using placebos and giving them a placebo and saying, right, you need to take this for 2 weeks, but you mustn't eat anything because this won't work. So he just put some, I think he put some bread in these capsules, So then it looked like there was something in there. And if they came back and they were still ill, he says, okay, here's some more capsules and don't eat anything. And hence it went on until they came back and went, oh, I'm feeling loads better, thanks. And he was so successful that other physicians who, were in his environment were like, what are you doing? And then he taught it to them. He says, look, this is what I do. So we then have a whole load of other natural hygienists who, around that time were having great results. And we've got people like Sylvester Graham, Mary Gove, Russell Thacker Trawl, James Jackson, Thomas Lowe Nichols, Harriet Austin, Charles E. Page, Robert Walter, Felix Oswald, John H. Tilden, and yeah, the list goes on. So the premise that let's call it germ theory, because that's what it is. It's a theory. It's still called germ theory. But Koch, there's a guy called Koch, can't remember his first name, but he created 4 postulates. Postulate is a fact, and they are as follows. The bacteria must be present in every case of the disease. Okay, so that disproves germ theory, first one. The bacteria must be isolated from the host with the disease and grown in pure culture. Now, that happens in some cases, but not all. But, why is that? The specific disease must be reproduced when a pure culture of the bacteria is inoculated into a healthy susceptible host. Again, disproves it. The bacteria must be recoverable from the experimentally infected host. So when they've basically put bacteria into hosts and then gone into that host person, whether it be, it could be a dog, could be a person, could be a rat, and they're not able to recover the bacteria because they can't find it. Probably because our organism, our body has killed it because it didn't belong in there. So I'm going to stop there because the next section is going to be about our lifespan, and yeah, I'll give you some information as to how we should be living longer.